Greetings, my fellow Africans and the entire world. Once again, I come into your homes and your minds with a message of empowerment and enlightenment, all the way from the African Mental Emancipation Movement. The African Mental Emancipation Movement is a movement that was set up for the emancipation of the African minds from mental slavery, as observed by Marcus Garvey and sung by Bob Marley. Everywhere you go, wherever you find black people, one thing that comes out as our visible picture is underdevelopment. We live in deplorable states. Everywhere. If you go to Africa, typical African settings, our environment, our towns and villages are mostly slums. The cities that we see were not actually created by the minds of Africans. We only contracted people, or we took the knowledge and technology from somewhere to create those things, patch them up, and then you see the city, or you go to any African city, you say it's beautiful. But a critical analysis of the whole place will tell you that none of this were created by the use of the African mind. Majority of the things came from somewhere. And then if you come to the diaspora, majority of, if not, almost every black community is more or less a slum. Though we always accuse and blame the government for the neglect of the black community, we believe that we are at a disadvantage. And that is why our communities, or the areas we live, are always in a deplorable state. That is the truth. It is a fact. But as a matter of fact, the government cannot do anything about it. And it is our responsibility to work it out. Beauty, development does not necessarily mean to have big and great things. But people who are conscious of beauty, people who are conscious of beauty and development, and they are conscious of their surroundings, always make their environment, their surroundings clean and beauty, regardless of how old the place is, regardless of how small the place is. And so much as in the diaspora we believe, and it is always a visible sign and also accepted, that it is the government, we have been let down by the government, or we've been neglected, we are marginalized. There is also a fundamental truth that comes to every enlightened person's mind, that even upon all that, we could have done better. We could have made the places that we have more beautiful, even without the government assistance. Because wherever any man or woman that is conscious of beauty, conscious of neatness, regardless of the situation, in our small way, we should be able to demonstrate that. And so today I'm going to speak to you on the topic that the outer conditions of a person's life is literally linked to his inner state, his or her inner state. And I borrow these words from my mentor, James Allen, the British philosopher. There is a universal truth that men and women may not be awakened to, but that is the fact. Everything is from within to the outer. And so, when your within is unkempt, if you are not conscious of a particular thing inside of you, that thing will never materialize in your outer. But when you have these things implanted in your inside, then by way of our operation as human beings, whatever you have within you will always reflect in your outer environment. And so when you go to a place and you see people living in slums, yes, they may be disadvantaged, but the greater part of the situation is as a result of who they are. You do not become anything other than what you are. And we know of areas that beautiful buildings, structures have been created for people. And then in a couple of years, you go back, the whole place is turned into something different. Why? If it is just a matter of putting up new buildings for people, the maintenance, the keeping of the place is on the individual. And if the individual is conscious of his or her environment, conscious of beauty of his or her environment, regardless of the situation, the person will go on to create something beautiful out of the little that he or she has. You brighten the corner wherever you are. And so if you look at this and you go back to Africa, you can trace this into our own way of life. And the job we do at the African Mental Emancipation Movement, or the job I do, is to expose you, or to bring your mind to some of these things that we are always walking past. We trample upon them. We do not want to accept this fundamental truth. And for that matter, we seek development, we seek progress from the wrong sources. No man or woman can make our areas, our towns and city beautiful. But we have to do it. Some people can come and create these things for us. But the maintenance culture must be there. So if a group of people live and they don't have this maintenance culture, whatever good thing that you create for them, it will eventually get into a deplorable state because things have to be maintained. And maintenance is as a result of people being conscious of the fact that they have the divine right to live right and to live in beautiful and wonderful environment or surroundings. And so if you look at all this, we can trace it back to ourselves because everything originates from ourselves. And so today I'm here to reason with you. And as I've always stated, I'm not here to condemn anyone. And I'm not here to argue with anyone or to argue with anyone, but I'm here to present to you a version or a perspective which is the universal truth of life. And if we adopt it, we will set ourselves free. We will liberate ourselves. And so the emancipation of the African mind is about we taking our own life and analyzing it and then beginning to weed out things that are blocking our progress. So if you look at the typical African settings, if you go to Africa, you will see that the African, by our nature, by our own way of life, we didn't actually start with anything like the modern architecture, the modern whatever infrastructure that we have. Our forefathers were living with their basic living. And so when people were talking of the construction of roads, our forefathers had only a path. If it is a bridge, they put a log across the river or they swim across it. So you will see that when it comes to the development of this, from the base, from our roots, where we come from, the people that we all originated from, never had that consciousness. And so I am telling you that this consciousness, that kind of subconscious reality collectively of our forefathers is what we inherited, and it is with us. And so you will see that it is difficult for us to think of architecture improving upon our own architectural architecture such that they will also be at the level at which other people are. As a matter of fact, if you go to Europe, you see how they have moved from one level to the other in terms of architectural development. If you look at the infrastructure that they have, these things were started a long time ago. And it was only brought to us. And so you will see that whenever we try to do it, whenever we try to actually, copy, it is difficult. And so we always look at that. People will come and do it for us. But today I am telling you that as Africans, we can do whatever we want to do. But we must first go back into our base and begin to build a new consciousness. And that is what we believe in ourselves and what we are daily awakening to. And then we begin to work towards that. And as we work on ourselves individually, collectively, we'll build up a new consciousness. That is more of development oriented. That is beauty oriented. That is the only way we can correct this. And even if you go across Africa, you will see that facilities have been put up by the youth, with funds from loans and other things. We have these international organizations, charity organizations, going around putting up structures and other things. But as a matter of fact, if you go back to look at some of these structures in Africa, all of them are now in the deplorable state. They are either not even in existence or they are completely in a deplorable state. Why? Because the people that live in don't have that development culture. We don't need money. You don't need money to maintain things. But you need awareness. You need the mind to think that if I put this on that and this or that together, I'll be able to maintain this even at least to a certain level. But the African will sit down and then we complain that we don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this. And the whole thing is destroyed. And so you will see that we are unable to do some of these things. We are facing this challenge because where we come from, the people that we originated from, never had that concept. And so this is the time that we have to become awakened to this. And then we begin to build into our lives, our subconscious level, what we want to see, what we want to create in our lives. And so the last time I spoke about regeneration, or how Europeans move from one age to the other, But the African had never been conscious of this. And so there has never been anything like deliberate attempt to bring a certain way of life, to bring a certain improvement in our lives. And now is the time that we have to become awakened to this. Education, as I said in one of my episodes, is a dress. It's just a gown or a garment that has been placed on us. That doesn't change our nature. It doesn't change our root, our subconscious beliefs. It doesn't change it. And even if we have to go back into history, if we have to go back to the typical African way of life, in the olden days, our forefathers were living, and they were using this juju and all this evil forces. They were using this against each other. That is the abuse of the human mind. And so, to the African, if you do something beautiful, that will be a source of attraction, of people's attack on you. And so you will see that people had the ability to do things, but they were afraid to do any beauty because they were afraid of death through the works of their fellow human beings. And so the African has been that kind of in bondage, in distance, and distance are still with us. And even right now, as I'm talking now, as I'm speaking to you, if you go to our towns, if you go to our cities, even in our government, in businesses, people are afraid of each other. You have people who have amulets, people who have charms, people who have other things that they put under their seats and other things because they are afraid. They are afraid that other people are working against them. And so you see that people with such mentality, people with such kind of consciousness will never go forward. They will never go forward. And so it is this thing that we have carried on into our lives. And this thing also follows our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Wherever you go, you will see that the African, the black communities are always a place where you have the challenging situations. I am not denying the fact that there are other issues that leads to that. But even upon all that, with the right mental attitude and with the right mindset, we can still make things better. We can still make things work. But all that we do is we resign to our fate and say that, oh, we have been marginalized. We have been done, this and this and this have been done to us. And therefore, we do nothing. But the fact is, development is from within. Your outer conditions, your environment shows the person you are within. And so if your outer environment is unkept, if your outer environment is deplorable, it does not show the condition of the government. It shows the condition of who we are. And so this is the time that we have to become conscious of this. Regardless of how small, regardless of how old where we live may be, we can still make it better. And then when you go to Africa, we do not actually have these structures at all. Typical African village, typical African town is unplanned, no plan, nothing. And we do nothing about our surroundings. As a matter of fact, when I was in Accra, Ghana, I used to live in one of the areas around the coastal line of Accra. And sometimes you go to some of these places, you see men and women in the broad daylight, defecating, just doing whatever they want in the rivers, along the sea, along the coastal line. So you will see that people who are conscious of beauty, people who are conscious of their surroundings, will not do this. And so it is not about the inner, the absence of facilities, but it is our consciousness of who we are, or it is about who we are. A group of people can actually look at things and ask themselves, how can we make this better? How can we make this better? But African, we sit down and we conclude, we just accept that we do not have it, and therefore we can do it anyhow. And that is the true reflection of who we are. And so this is the time, as Africans, we have to rise up. Everything is from within, and it's about how we use our minds. If we are conscious of the basic principles, the basic truth of life, beauty is something that is from within. And therefore, if we know how to use our minds and able to use our imagination, visualize things in our minds, the beauty and the wonderful things we want to see, they will eventually become our subconscious reality in such a way that they will automatically reflect in our lives. The beautiful buildings, the beautiful streets, the beautiful things that we see in other parts of the world did not come as a result of any sophisticated things, but it came as a result of the people being made aware, being made conscious of the fact that it is their responsibility to keep their environment neat. It is their responsibility to, maintain whatever they have. It's a fact. But the Africans don't have that concept. And this is what we have carried into our lives in the diaspora. It is a typical example. So this is the time that we have to begin to wake up. It is time for us to begin to use our minds. There is only one source of beauty. There is only one source of everything that we are looking for. And that is the good use of our minds. Let us learn how to imagine. Let us learn how to use our imagination. Let us learn how to use our visualization. One thing that Africans, we are not conscious of, we don't actually have that concept, is that we do not use our minds. We do not know that you use your mind to create pictures, images. And therefore, whatever images we are creating are distorted images. But it must be deliberate. So today, I am here to tell you that your mind is a creative medium. And whatever you dwell on, becomes your reality on the outer. And this, our forefathers never had that concept. And for that matter, what they dwell on was negativity. What they dwell on was negative images. And we have inherited these images. But this is the time that we have to work on ourselves. So emancipate yourself from mental slavery. It goes beyond whatever thing that the concept we had. It has to go down to our racial subconscious mind. And then it comes to our individuals. We have to change our perception. We have to change our views of things from the victimhood to a man or woman who is the creator of his own life. And he has dominion over all things. And so beauty. Africans, our towns and cities will be beautiful only when we build it within ourselves. And as I stated, the outer conditions of a person's life is literally or harmoniously linked to his or her inner states. And so if you go to our towns and cities, if you go to any place in Africa that you see it unkempt, you see it disorganized, it does not show anything other than who we are and what we have within ourselves. And this is the time that we have to begin to recalibrate our subconscious mind. The black race, the root from which we came from, our forefathers didn't actually do the right thing that we could inherit. And so you see that it is difficult. It is difficult. It is difficult for us to do it. What we call horticulture, what we call landscaping, all these things are foreign. But these things were well studied. They were well cultivated into the lives of the Europeans and other people. So if you come to their towns and cities, it is something that individuals take up upon themselves and they do it and do it right. But Africans, we don't have that concept. But it is not too late. This is the time that we have to build this into our system. This is the time that we have to be conscious of the powers that we have. And as I stated, your mind is a creative medium. And therefore, what you continually dwell upon becomes your reality. Let us be aware of this. And therefore, what we need to think of is beauty. What we need to think of is what beauty. What we need to think of is the good things that we are looking for. And this is what St. Paul once again gave us. That whatever thing that is pure, whatever thing that is just, whatever thing that is noble, whatever thing that is of any high repute or any high quality, think of this, meditate upon this until they become part of you. That is what the Bible is saying. And so until you emotionalize, until you dwell upon the things that you want to be, it will never come into your life. So whatever we are seeing, all the underdevelopment, all this kind of debilitating thing we are seeing in the life of Africans is what we are daily dwelling upon, or what we inherited from our forefathers. When I talk of Africa, I'm talking of the ordinary men and women, our own towns and cities. The cities we have are not even, most of them were not created by us. It was colonial legacy. But if you go to a typical African setting, how do we put our minds together to make our environment, our surrounding beautiful, such that any man or woman who walks there will feel proud or will give us a certain respect? Look at how we prepare our food. Look at what we do. All our things is still in the rudimentary level. It's all our evidence of who we are, the level at which we are in human evolution. And this is the time we have to make efforts. We have to take the right steps to educate every one of our people about the power of the mind. And as I said the other day, our dream is that whatever we are sharing here, whatever we are propagating here, one day will become full-fledged courses that will be taught in all levels of schools. The human mind is the source of beauty. The human mind is the source of development. The human mind, the correct use of the human mind is the source of everything. The abuse of the human mind is also the source of every painful and deplorable situations. And therefore, we are already thinking in one's way. Now is the time for us to turn to the other way, and we will turn everything upside down in our favor. And so, my brother, my sister, today I'm telling you that emancipate yourself from mental slavery. It has to do with us becoming awakened to the fact that every thought, every emotion, every pictures that our forefathers created in their subconscious mind is with us. And we automatically inherit this. And it requires us to take the corrective steps to uproot all of them, such that we will use our minds constructively by the power of imagination and visualization to create the right things that we want to see in our lives. We are no longer to be afraid of anything. We are no longer to think of death, to think of any kind of thing that they are coming from evil forces or they will come upon us as a result of the work of our fellow human beings. But we walk and live as powerful human beings, free to do whatever we want to do. And that is when we will clean all these things from our setup. There is no way that you can build a house, a new house, when you still have the old one in place on a plot of land. In the same way, there is no way we can build a new life. There is no way we can have a developed and improved life when our racial subconscious mind is full of negativity and all kinds of negative things. So this is the time. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. It's about you becoming awakened to the truth that your mind is a creative medium, and therefore begin to use your mind constructively, positively. And we will all work towards this. And as we all come together and we walk toward this path, or we walk on this path, we create a reality, a favorable and a wonderful one for us. So that is my message for you. We are going to emancipate ourselves from all mental slavery, because none can do this for us except ourselves that can free our minds. And we are going to free our minds from all angles, analyzing our own life, analyzing our own setup, and begin to take the right and corrective steps. The human mind, as I've already stated severally, is a creative medium. Your mind is powerful. You are created and born as a powerful human being with a mind to make changes to your life, to a mind to impact the world, a mind to make you do things and put beauty into your existence. It is our divine right to live in a beauty environment. It is our divine right to have beautiful surroundings. But it has to come to us by the use of our minds. And once again, as St. Paul said, think of all these good things, meditate upon them until they become a reality in our lives. So if we want to see development, if we want to see improvement, if we want to see beauty in our own setup, our towns and cities, in our lives, even in the diaspora, then it is now we have to train ourselves to emotionalize, to visualize, to imagine, and then build this into our consciousness. Until then, this will not be a reality. The Europeans and other things that we see, yes, money is a factor, but when we do the inner work, whatever thing that it takes, the money will come to us by the power of this, by the power of the same power in us, or by the work of the same power in us. So, my brother, my sister, wherever you are, my fellow Africans, this is the time we have to rise up. Let us look at our surroundings. Go to African markets. Go to wherever you go, African markets or whatever. It is such a deplorable state. So can't we see? We don't need money to make a beautiful things, but we need minds to put our minds together, to put our ideas together, to create beautiful things for ourselves. Go to African towns and cities. Go to the markets. It's deplorable. When I was in Ghana, there is a place called Kaneshie Market. You go and there is no order. Everything is just anywhere. People are selling food outside. Look, this is 21st century. Let us think and improve upon our lives. That is my message for you. No one can do this for us. So emancipate yourself from mental slavery. It's about You moving away from anything that is preventing you from thinking of improving upon your life, improving upon our lives, onto where that we take things and look at it and improve upon it and make it beautiful and give it to other people and also use it to improve our lives. That is my message for you. So the outer condition of a person's life is harmoniously linked to his inner state. It's a mathematical truth. Whatever we see in our lives, whatever we are seeing in our life, whatever we are showing to the world is as a result of what we have within. And now is the time for us to begin to clean the within. And as we clean the within, the outer also clean accordingly. For our life is a giant screen, it's a movie that we are watching on a giant screen of environment. That is my message for you. Once again, my name is Emmanuel Kwejo Mensah, and I am a co-founder of the Eagle Mentality Group and the African Mental Emancipation Movement. Our determination and our dream is to create a new Africa on universal laws and principles. And that is why we are bringing this awareness to every one of you. And for that matter, at this time, I take this opportunity that as you are listening to me, please click on the subscribe button and join us and let us emancipate one another. Let us build ourselves and create a new Africa, a new black race, a new personality for ourselves by the use of our mind, consciously recalibrating our racial and individual subconscious mind, such that the black identity will be beauty, will be wonderful, will be development. That is our message for you. And therefore, you are cordially and we personally invite you to join our movement. No one can do this for us. We can do this for ourselves. Once again, we invite you to contact us through the email at the end of the video, if that is what is convenient for you. Or subscribe and leave a message on our channel, and we will be more than happy to contact you. All of us putting our mental forces together to build a new Africa, to build a new personality for the black race, such that one day Africa will be the center of attraction. That the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King, that the children of the black race, the white race, all other races will live side by side on the land of America, will be a reality on the land of Africa as it is. It is unfinished business. So mind is the master. Mind rules the world. Let us come together and let us use our minds judiciously and constructively, and also make our contribution to the development of humanity. Thank you and God bless you.